Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of Levi with Levi. So, today I'm actually really not sure what to talk about. I just got a new chair in the end of my last episode. My chair fell apart, so I felt now that I have got a new chair. It was time for another recording of myself. I mean, one of the things that I have been kind of thinking about, I guess, to some degree, is the fact that I don't really feel like there's much to share. And I'm not sure if that is true. I mean, I've been having some really nice and exciting experiences this summer, and I was thinking, like, what's there to share? I've been having such a great time, and it's just been, yeah, it's been very joyful, very joyful. And I've been thinking a little bit about what's going on in the background of me feeling the joy during these events. Because it's been a lot of kind of new people. It's been, um, yeah, all sorts of people I've been meeting in all sorts of states. And it's very easy to judge myself in that situation, judge others for whatever reason. But I mean, I feeling that's becoming like a theme here in this episode, but it's these thoughts that are kind of churning on the fact that I've done something wrong. I haven't said the perfect thing. Maybe that person was a little bit offended by this thing. What did that person mean when the person said this and this about me? And all these things that is going on. And that could have easily kind of put a damper on these events that I've been to and kind of taken me into some sort of at least some down periods where I'm kind of like feeling sorry for myself, or feeling angry, or feeling disappointed in people, or maybe I feel like things should be different than it is and I wish I was somewhere else, and all these things. But it is not necessary to listen to those thoughts. I mean, those thoughts are there 100%. It's all there, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's like it's turbulent inside of me. But that's okay. Like that's always okay. And I think just kind of focusing on what's actually happening. So not focusing on what I think is happening, and just focusing on what's actually happening, just continuing to be present with whatever's happening, whether it's a conversation that just keeps on going, or maybe we're doing an activity, or maybe I'm going for a walk when these thoughts come, like whatever it is, just keep doing what you're doing and kind of be present with whatever it is that it is actually happening. And these things that we're thinking about can just be there. And it's interesting because sometimes I'm thinking kind of like, am I just kind of not giving these thoughts kind of their rightful kind of attention. Maybe I should think more about it. But what I've noticed is that when I'm kind of just keep going, it's almost like I'm letting it play out by itself. It's almost like I'm feeling more when I'm not kind of getting caught up in the discussion about these things. So either I can kind of go all in on the whole, oh yeah, maybe I was an idiot, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this next time, maybe I blah 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 blah. And I feel all that stuff is just distraction almost, to not feel kind of the feeling that come along with feeling these things and stuff like that. So I feel when I'm kind of like just keep focusing on the now and the present moment, that I'm actually really feeling what's happening in that moment. So whether that is directly related to these thoughts that are going on, or if it's related to something else, maybe it's someone else's kind of emotions that are kind of rubbing off on me or something like that. Like it's I feel I'm honoring them even more by just staying present. And yeah, I think really this need to kind of nag around a feeling or a thought is just sort of a distraction from staying here and actually feeling the whole thing and what's going on. And doing this is a practice. It is not, I feel like it's not this holy thing that suddenly you got it and then you got it for life. But it's a practice. It's a practice of just catching myself. Oh, I'm thinking about something again and I'm not here. Let's get back to what's actually happening, because I don't know if those thoughts and perceptions are true, because that's what they are. They are perceptions. So basically, yeah, lost my train of thought a little bit, but yeah, that was because of some thoughts going on in my head that I paid a bit too much attention to. That was related to this recording. So it's interesting how it's tripping us up. Even like it doesn't improve our present state. And of course, maybe we've done something that we should learn from. And I think that's another point. Is like I think we pick that up pretty quickly. Like we don't have to think about it over and over and over and over and over again, and like beat ourselves up about it and all that shit in order to kind of learn from it. It's like, oh yeah, I noticed maybe that person got a little bit offended by that thing. Like, so for sure you can like follow that up with, you know, I don't know, just take it in and we'll know better next time, you know. So it's not about ignoring what's happening. It's more about staying here instead of being in the head, I would say. Yeah. So that's been on my mind because, well, I guess it's just been on my mind. And other than that, I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, I have my kind of the fall is coming after summer, and I'm without any like occupation at the moment. So it's the whole thing about kind of figuring out what I'm gonna do, and I have some ideas for sure, and I'm kind of just taking some steps towards that. I know it can't happen immediately, so but I'm kind of prepping a little bit. But then again, I'm not sure what's gonna happen, right? So I have some ideas, and I'm moving kind of towards it without too much attachment to that goal. And I'm finding that to be interesting. And it's kind of the same thing as the thoughts that are about how I'm doing, like, or how I've done in a conversation, or blah blah blah, all these things. And this is kind of the same here, because very often my mind wants to kind of settle on something, because that's more comfortable. But it cuts off kind of the opportunity room for this fall. So I'm trying not to do that, because I don't have to do like a cutoff yet. But still, my mind wants to kind of settle on something, just to feel like, be certain, like, you know, yeah, set up a website and kind of like do that thing immediately, and all that things, and when the time is right, I'm going to do those things for sure. But right now, I don't know like which direction kind of things will take in the next month. So I'm trying to just sit back, but it's like every time these thoughts come up, it's like I can entertain them, I can go into them, I can kind of feel all the uncertainty, and I can try to reduce it, or I can just be here now with whatever's actually happening. Maybe I'm even working on something for like the future job or whatever it's gonna be, but thinking about how I can kind of settle on it will not really help. Yeah, so I'm just trying to kind of take myself back to the present moment whenever I'm feeling that I'm drifting in a direction I don't need to go in. So yeah, I guess that's what I was saying when I lost my train of thought earlier, like how I just lost my train of thought again. But yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I wonder what's happening there, you know, because it's like I don't really see a reason for that kind of disappearing from my mind. But maybe it's disappearing from the mind for like a reason. We don't always know, you know, how like a conversation is supposed to go, or this recording is supposed to go. Like my mind is of course running a little background show here about about how this conversation here is kind of running out of fuel, because I don't feel like I have more to say, and then suddenly I'm losing my train of thought for the second time, and then I mean, then that's something to talk about, right? Because it is interesting how we lose our train of thought sometimes, and we have two options there. It's like either you can kind of, because I've often in a conversation kind of stopped the whole conversation just to, guys, there was something I was gonna say. Give me a second, I need to kind of find it again, right? So then you're kind of stopping the flow a little bit of the conversation, because you think the thing you had to say is so important. But what if you should just, like, what if I'm just in that conversation should just be quiet, you know, instead of like, oh, or maybe say something else that kind of wanted to come out, but I'm holding back because that doesn't fit my style or whatever, you know? Yeah, or someone else has something they should be saying. Now, in this example here, I'm of course sitting here alone, so I'm not giving that space to someone else, but I'm giving the space now for a different avenue. to chat about, which I find quite fascinating. So yeah, and conversations in general. Like I've been in many conversations lately that is kind of yeah, it's kind of I've been having less rules kind of in my conversations, and things have definitely been flowing. Things are flowing better. I'm of course less concerned with kind of how the conversation is going, but it's also like, yeah, I guess I'm not so afraid to say these things that kind of just these things that kind of pop up, right? It's like sometimes something pops up in you and you want to say it, and a lot of times in my life I think I've been holding back on it, and maybe especially like in kind of like, well, before also, but like after I started to get into kind of what's going on like with with this human thing, and kind of this conversation here in dualistic unity. So basically, yeah, in the beginning, like it was very much kind of in one sense of me, it was like really eager to talk about kind of my internal life and kind of the changes I was going through, sort of. But another part of me was kind of very hesitant to do that, especially with kind of people that's been in my life for a long time. So I was kind of basically holding back my authentic conversation, because very often I kind of notice something in me in a conversation, and I feel like that's quite natural to bring up these days, just to kind of be honest about how I'm feeling. But what I've noticed is that when I'm kind of just letting myself loose and just saying whatever that I'm saying, I'm just noticing how other people can relate to that. So I don't always even know why I'm saying what I'm saying, but I'm feeling often people relate to those things that are kind of just coming out of me, sort of. So whether it's like how I can feel insecure around new people, or kind of a little tense when I'm in social settings, or whatever it is, it's like I think a lot of people, if we just started to talk about how we are kind of feeling in the moment, I think a lot of people will relate, because I think more often than not, when we're kind of sitting across from someone, we're for sure like mirroring our experience. Like if one person is tense, the other person is feeling that tenseness and maybe thinks it's its own tenseness, and then it's kind of bouncing off each other a little bit. And then if someone mentions like, oh, I'm feeling kind of tense actually, it's like it's almost like it can release a little bit on both sides. Like, oh yeah, I'm feeling some tension as well. It's like, oh, it's nice to hear that that's okay, to just say out loud, and just who knew that we were both human. I feel that's kind of what we're trying to hide out in society, the fact that we actually feel things and are not perfect. We must not let anyone know that we're not perfect. This is how I lived my life for, yeah, most of my life. It's not many years ago before I started to kind of open up a little bit. But before that, I was so afraid that people would know that I was struggling with anxiety and was kind of stressed about social situations. And I was kind of like, brute forcing myself through all of this, and insecurities about being good enough for the job and all this stuff, and just brute forcing it all. Not talking about it with anyone, and just keep going, just keep up appearances, just keep up the appearances, and just show people that you are perfect, you are good at this, and you love this, and you love this, and you just keep going. Ooh, and that's fucking exhausting. I'm feeling exhausted just thinking about it. So it's really nice to just say to people like, hey, yeah, I'm feeling it for sure. But that's okay. It's okay to feel it. We can do things even though we're feeling a certain way. Yeah. So yeah, that little mind blank or whatever it was earlier just took me in a new direction, talking about conversations, talking about this stuff. Yeah, I really enjoy that, because I was going into this episode like with absolutely no idea what I was going to say. The only thing I had pre-planned was like this thing with a new chair. So yeah. Yeah, so that's it for today. I appreciate anyone who's listening, and I hope you have a great day.